What's up, guys? This is Cody from Fantasizing, where we talk all things fantasy football. Today I'm bringing you guys part one of a two-part series that I'm doing with Nate on 8 guys that were negatively impacted by the NFL draft. I'm talking about 8 guys that we were excited to draft for the upcoming 2020 season, but have since lost our vote of confidence as a result of the draft. But before I get into the content, if you guys could just go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that bell button so you're up to date on all of our notifications. Also, if you're enjoying what we're doing over here at Fantasizing, please check us out on Patreon. The link to our Patreon account will be in the description of this video, and it will also be at the end of our video. But that's enough of the shameless self-promotion. Let's talk some football. So the guy kicking this thing off is Damien Williams. Despite coming off of legendary performances in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, in which Damien logged 6 total touchdowns in 3 games and was nothing short of instrumental in the Chiefs' success, it appears the Chiefs don't see Williams in the long-term plans. The drafting of Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the last pick in the first round of the NFL draft came as a surprise to many, me included. Some thought that Williams was poised for a career year in 2020 and were looking forward to drafting him in the 3rd or 4th round of upcoming fantasy drafts. I'll be honest, he was a guy that I was taking in many of my mock drafts, and I was perfectly comfortable having him as my RB2. However, the drafting of Edwards-Helaire completely throws a monkey wrench in any hopes and dreams that we had for Damien Williams moving forward. Chiefs GM Brett Veach already came out and said he expects it to be a shared workload between Damien Williams and Edwards-Helaire. Also, the ringing endorsement from Andy Reid did not help Damien Williams' case. Coach Reid compared Edwards-Helaire to Eagles great Brian Westbrook, saying that he believes Edwards-Helaire is already better than Westbrook at this stage of his development. Those are big-time words coming from your head coach. And looking at this backfield moving forward, I think at best this is a timeshare, and at worst, Edwards-Helaire completely takes over, rendering Damien Williams completely useless for fantasy purposes. With all of that said, Damien Williams will not be on my roster in 2020. The next guy I want to talk about is Marlin Mack. Now this one hurt. I was so boosted on the prospect of Marlin Mack being the workhorse in this Colts offense with Phillip Rivers, a quarterback who is notorious for checking down to RBs. I thought this was finally Mack's opportunity to get involved in the pass game and break out in PPR formats. In my mock drafts, I was more than happy taking Mack as my RB2. I thought he was really undervalued. The thing with Marlin Mack that I've always loved is he's always been a really nice runner, rushing for 908 yards and 9 TDs in 2018 and 1,091 yards and 8 TDs on almost 250 carries in 2019. However, Mack has failed to stay healthy and play a full season in his 3-year career, and perhaps that's why the Colts are moving on. Selecting a talent like Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round communicates that the Colts do not believe in Mack long-term and are looking for new blood. And Taylor is a beast. The guy is an absolute monster, rushing for almost 6,200 yards and 50 TDs in his 3-year career. The guy is next level. Head coach Frank Reich has described Mack and Taylor coexisting as a 1-2 punch in this offense. For fantasy purposes, I really don't like the sound of that. Given Mack's injury history, Taylor would be worth a mid to late round stash, and if Mack goes down, or if the Colts just decide to go all in on Taylor in year 1, he could explode. He's definitely worth drafting. But when it comes to Mack, sadly, I'm staying away altogether. Another guy I want to get into a little bit is Michael Gallup. Gallup is a guy that I was really optimistic about coming into 2020. He had a sneaky good season in 2019. He had 66 catches on 113 targets, 1,107 yards, 6 TDs in only 14 games. He was a guy I was very happy taking as my wide receiver 2 in mock drafts if I decided to go RB heavy in the early rounds. However, his outlook for 2020 drastically changes with the addition of CeeDee Lamb to the Dallas Cowboys. Lamb was an absolute stud at Oklahoma. He has been unanimously viewed as a top 3 receiver in this draft, drawing comparisons to DeAndre Hopkins. After the combine, his prospect grade was a 6.8, which was the highest among all wide receivers in the draft. By adding a guy like Lamb, the Cowboys went from a pretty good, maybe even great offense in the NFL to downright scary. Unfortunately, this addition impacts the fantasy values of Amari Cooper and Gallup. I still think Cooper is a guy that you can confidently draft in the 3rd round. Expectations may need to be tempered, but he's still the number 1 option on a high-powered offense. However, I think Gallup went from a guy that I had with top 20 upside to a guy that I don't even feel comfortable in my flex position. The last guy I want to get into today is Ronald Jones. Rojo was a guy I was really excited about going into 2020, especially with the addition of Tom Brady. I thought that this year could for sure be his breakout. Rojo's 2019 was really nothing to write home about. He was stuck in a timeshare and we never knew week to week whether Rojo or Peyton Barber was going to get the lion's share of the touches that game. But in spite of his inconsistent workload, we still saw moments where he looked like a talented back that could be really fantasy relevant. So when Peyton Barber signed with the Redskins in the offseason, Rojo truthers around the world thought that he might finally have the keys to the backfield and might be poised for a top 20 RB season in 2020. However, all of those hopes and dreams were dismissed when the Bucs decided to draft Keyshawn Vaughn in the 3rd round. This was a total shock. The Bucs said at the beginning of April that they have faith in Jones, that he was the guy. But the pick suggests otherwise. And to be honest, I think a lot of it's Bruce Arians. It seems like Bruce Arians has never really been sold on Rojo. In fact, it appeared in several instances last season that he didn't even really like him at all. Rojo was clearly the better back last season. He averaged a respectable 4.2 yards per carry, while Barber averaged 3.1. Still, Arians chose to start Barber in 7 games, and Rojo only had 18 more rush attempts on the season than Barber. So we know that Arians has absolutely no problem giving carries to guys that are less talented than Rojo. That's not to say that Vaughn isn't going to be a fine pro player. We just don't know yet. But quite frankly, whenever we look at what he did at the Combine, it doesn't instill confidence. His Combine score was a 5.95, which suggests that he's currently being appraised as a backup or special teamer. You'd think that that type of performance would bode well for Rojo, that maybe Rojo would have more opportunity. I doubt it. I think ultimately Arians is going to exert his will, and Vaughn will be utilized in this Bucs offense this season, and Rojo will once again be imprisoned in a timeshare. Unfortunately, Rojo will not be on my roster this season.
Hey guys, Alex here, editor-at-large at Fantasizing, where we talk all things fantasy football. Just wanted to thank you for stopping by and checking out this video. Please leave a like, comment. You can subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You definitely want to be up to date with us if you enjoyed this video, because part 2 will be coming out this Thursday. We try and put out content at least twice a week. So again, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and if you really like what we're doing, you can check us out at patreon.com/fantasizingfootball. Take care.